Welcome to Behind the Scenes at Gentle Carousel Miniature Therapy Horses, where tiny horses bring comfort, hope, and healing to children, veterans, first responders, and communities in need. For almost 30 years, this award-winning nonprofit charity has shared the healing power of miniature therapy horses inside children's and veterans hospitals, hospice programs, assisted living programs, schools, and beyond. Now they are sharing their stories every week on the Equus Radio Network.
Hello and welcome back to Behind the Scenes with Gentle Carousel Miniature Therapy Horses. My name is George Garcia Bengochea and I'm your host, and I'm here alongside Debbie Garcia Bengochea, your co-host.
Hello everyone.
Well, we're super excited. This is episode number 4, recorded right here at the Gentle Carousel Farm. So last week we talked about the livestock guardian dogs, and that was a lot of fun and gave people an idea of what the livestock guardian dogs are all about. But we also had a couple stories in the meantime that you and I talked about.
We had a funny one this past week. Our youngest, we talked during the program last time about, even though they have thousands of years of instinct, they're still puppies, the young ones, and they really need a lot of supervision to know what they should do and what they shouldn't do. And it's great working with them, with the older dogs who don't let them get away with anything they shouldn't be doing around the horses. But we were in the farmhouse and all of a sudden the alarm goes off in my little car. Now we're in the middle of, not a lot of people.
What's going on?
So we go outside and we're looking around and the alarm is going off, and it's an older car. It's like an 18-year-old car. So, part of me was afraid it was calling for help, making its final plea. And then all of a sudden it went off and we couldn't figure out, okay. So we went back into the house and the alarm goes on again on the car. So we go back out, and at that point I'm looking for my keys to turn it off and they weren't in the usual location. And I look over and there's a little group of guardian dogs, and the youngest one, Meadow, who is named after a wonderful little girl who was a horse lover at Parkland. And she was looking very guilty, and there were several other dogs gathered around her checking out what she was doing. So I went over and she had the keys and she had them in her mouth and she was turning the alarm off and on.
And having a very good time.
And so I removed the keys from her, and that fixed our problem with the alarms going off. But she was having a big time, and it was kind of funny. Yeah. I mean, once you realized what she was doing. And she did wait until we went back in and then
started playing again. Well, it is funny. The Maremmas seem to like to vie for our attention. They're either guarding the miniature therapy horses, they're patrolling, and then sometimes they're trying to get our attention. So they have active minds.
That worked. That got our attention, for sure.
Any other stories with the Maremmas before we go on to new adventures we've been?
Oh, gosh. I don't know about the Maremmas. I did want to say that, when we're talking about things that we do, that's what we do. That's what's worked for us over the past almost 30 years. And there are different ways of doing things, but what we're sharing is the way that we do things. And I know we also did a show week before last, I think about our reading programs, our summer reading programs. And we just finished our last summer reading program. We still have some libraries and things to do, but our official program with Officer Magic. And we really appreciated the Ocala Police Department coming and being a part of that. And our therapy horse Magic, little hero horse Magic, is a sworn officer with the Ocala Police Department. And the book was Officer Magic is My Friend. And it was all about the different things that police officers do to keep the community safe. And I think that, we'll have to do a show about Magic and her work in that capacity, because she works with with children who've lost parents in the line of duty. She does a lot of really interesting things. She does a reading program with the Ocala Police Department in different neighborhoods. But it was a great time. I mean, this summer was fantastic. The turnouts were bigger than ever.
Yeah, we had great turnouts every week. We did 6 of these Gentle Carousel summertime reading programs, and they were all very well attended. I'd say close to 200 people each time, children, young and old. And I think last time you had mentioned, we've had 2-month-old infants out with 102-year-old, very excited seniors enjoying the program.
This last week, there was a 3-week-old that was there.
Getting excited about horses. And just to touch on, Officer Magic has done work with quite a few law enforcement departments. That's been up in Nashville, New York with the mounted unit, the Nashville Metro mounted unit. And I think we did some work in Texas, I believe.
Yeah.
But Officer Magic, she thinks she's a full-size mounted part of the mounted unit.
She does have a
large self-esteem.
She really does.
Yeah. But we'll talk about Officer Magic and some of the work that she's done with law enforcement and just that community outreach, I think, which is so important. And I do want to give a shout out to Chief Bulkin. He has been super supportive of Gentle Carousel, and he sees the benefit of the community outreach and the reading part of Gentle Carousel miniature therapy horses. So he's been a great friend.
It's true, and I think it's something different. I mean, we talk about hospital visits and things like that, but there are always different kind of unusual things that the horses are doing. Like this week, we'll be doing Magic, will be a special guest down in Orlando at a large medical convention. And Circus is going to be doing a Christmas in July program for children this week. So, we have different things going on each week, too. Circus was a guest down in Orlando at a convention for the Florida Bar Association a few weeks ago. So, the different kinds of things that they do. But I think it's maybe, you want to talk about the horse schedules?
Yeah, let's do, because... we see, I think people see the horses being active, and this really is the behind the scenes of Gentle Carousel, miniature therapy horses. And so, we want to talk a little bit about, some of it's the training aspect, but also kind of their work schedule and them stepping up to do a program or an event or something like that, and then having their downtime on the farm. And we can rotate with another horse. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, we have, our schedule for the horses is they work no more than 2 days a week unless they're traveling. And if they do travel, then they get a big chunk of time off when they come back home. But we want them to live very natural lives. They're forever herd, and they're herd animals. They have friends, they have relationships. The guardian dogs make it possible for them to have that kind of safe, free life when they're not working. And we think it's really important that they're not overworked. For instance, everybody asks for Magic. Can Magic come to this or Magic come to that? And she will be at this convention. But once she's done with that, she'll have a big break. And because it's not like a regular hospital visit, a therapy horse visit, it's a big event. And there's some travel involved and things like that. So at a convention like that, we, our professional standards, we're very, very strict with the horses because everyone wants to run up and pet them and grab their face and, hug them and all of that. And we understand that. But at a place that has high intensity crowds and lots of noise, we have a policy of a maximum of 1 to 2 hours that a horse works. And it's broken up into 30-minute periods with a 30-minute break away from people completely. And with photos, there's no touching. There's no hugging, no kissing, no petting without permission from a handler, because that would be just an overwhelming and intense thing. Would they put up with it? Yes. Mm-hmm. Should they have to put up with it? No.
Yeah, and that's part of our responsibility is the safety and welfare of our horses. And, part of what we do is train people to be around horses. I know with the children, these are little ambassadors, and the children are meeting a horse for the very first time. So we teach them horse behavior, horse safety, what they like and what they don't like. And so children are learning for the first time, how you interact with a horse and how you keep a horse in good spirits and feeling comfortable and confident. when there is a crowd, the horse can be bopped on the face or hit from behind, and we're always careful of that. So we do keep a perimeter, and we do have volunteers that help us mind what's going on around the horse. And people need to understand this, like you said, this is a live animal. It has feelings. It wants to interact with people, but it also, horses want to maintain their safety. That's the number one priority for a horse, is they want to make sure that their survival is intact, and they look to us. They look to me as the handler to make sure I have things under control, and they sense my level of anxiety if I'm feeling comfortable with the situation.
And they trust. They trust that we're going to take care of them. We learned some things about that even from the movie star dog Benji, because we did a large event with Benji, and they came into town, his trainer, to help us with a fundraiser years ago. But there's so much that we can learn from how he is, how Benji was treated, because people were excited. And, Benji did an event with the horses. And we have a sign that we put up, and, to make sure that people understand, in a large, high-intensity setting like a convention, there's time limits. There's no feeding. Everyone has a treat they want to hand the horse. There's no flash photography right in the horse's face. They need to have their phones and cameras ready so that when they step up to have their turn to take a picture, that it's ready to go. I mean, there are a lot of things like that really make it, make it smooth. And I'm going to be speaking in a ballroom for an hour. So Magic's going to come in there and join, at the end. But that counts as the time. That 1 to 2 hours. I mean, we include that.
Yeah, and we've done some on-set movie making with our horses, and we work with the animal advocates there, and talked about some professional standards. So we want to maintain those standards, and for the safety of the animals, and also to know that they're in safe environments. I think it's important for the horses to want to go back and do different activities. If they do get stressed or overworked and they lose an interest, they'd rather just stay on the farm. But if they're on the farm to have a natural life, and then they are given the opportunity to do something different, they tend to want to get into the van and see what's going on, meet new people.
Do you remember when Scout would try to get into the... Yeah. Scout, who's very sweet, when it wasn't his turn to go, we had a horse trailer at the time instead of the van. He would sneak on board, and he'd be standing in there like, nothing to see here. I'm getting ready to go. But that's what you want. You want them to feel that way. And, I think the greatest challenge is if you have a horse in whatever kind of way that you're working with horses that's super dependable, that horse that you can count on, the temptation to keep pushing them to do more, to make an exception to your rules, and work until they don't like it anymore.
Yeah.
And that's
then it's a bad situation. And what we found too is that when you work with different horses, they get trained. I mean, I think with Magic, she's done a lot of things, and I think that's made her a very solid horse. But because she's had the experience, she's done things. So, we have some great horses that just really enjoy interacting with folks like Moonshadow. She has a wonderful time delivering books to children, coloring books about jobs with horses, and just a beautiful horse, and very interactive, very inquisitive. Obviously, Circus, he loves being around.
But we want them to stay that way.
Yeah. And so they take turns, and the more experience they have, getting out into new situations, walking into hallways, schools, hospitals, things like that, they learn what it's all about, and that it can be very interesting. They're going to meet new people, new situations, and these horses are intelligent. We want to keep it fresh and exciting, and where they feel confident that we're going to take care of them.
And every situation is different. I mean, a convention that's very intense is very different than what Circus is going to be doing. He's doing Christmas in July this week, and he's going to be with some children that this might be their last Christmas.
Yeah, there's
with Santa, you know.
There's a lot of different energy, like you're saying. At a convention, there is high energy. When you go to work with children in hospital care, there's a different energy. There is some, there might be a sense of anxiety that we like to feel like the horses come in and can bring that anxiousness, that anxiety down. The family can be feeling a lot of things, but the horses do, they sense that.
And he will be hugged. And
Yes.
he will be kissed.
And those are smaller groups, yeah.
Yeah, it's less intense, it's smaller groups, and it's just a very different kind of environment. The same way if the horses are in, say, an assisted living program. There are kisses. I know Magic has come home with lipstick stains, orange and pink, all over her white,
white blaze. Yeah.
So, but I think that for us, it's just important that the horses have a happy life, that they enjoy what they're doing, that we keep things shorter for horses that are new and that are learning. And, and just to keep in mind as they're out running in the pastures too. But horses are small, but they're horses in every way. We've had people, I'll just say, that will contact us and say, oh, we have a therapy dog program and we just want to add a therapy horse. And, or we'll have people who will ask, how little space do they need? Can I keep one in my backyard?
Yeah, just one.
Yeah, can I keep one in my courtyard or in my house or whatever? And so like you were saying, it's important that you're teaching, they need to be able to run. They shouldn't be alone, They shouldn't be overworked, and they're not dogs and they're not robots and they're not toys. They're horses in every way. And I think it's getting that out there and training. We asked last week about sending in questions, which we love, if you've got questions you want answered with the program. But we had someone that contacted us and sent an email first, and they said they wanted to be a volunteer, and they said, we want to stop by the farm and pick up a few horses to take to a rehab hospital that we work at.
Yeah.
And,
That's just not the way we work.
But, would you let a stranger pick up your dog and just take it somewhere? And so, even with good intentions, perhaps, the not understanding, first of all, how protective we are of our horses, but that they could just take a horse and go do it like it's, and you wouldn't do that with a therapy dog. Let somebody come and pick up your dog either. So,
and we have been doing this for 30 years, so we've learned a lot. We've learned a lot about what makes or what keeps the horses happy, what people enjoy in their interaction, and so there has been a lot of experiences, So we've learned a tremendous amount, and we want to maintain those high standards of keeping the horses happy, keeping the events impactful and rewarding for everybody. So we'll share those with you, those 30 years of experiences.
And every horse is different.
Yeah.
You're an expert when you have one. And then when you get your second one, you realize no. And you're constantly learning. And I think that's the thing for us is we're talking with great people who know about horses and how they're trained, and you're constantly changing. And the things that we were doing, decades ago, we've updated it and we've changed and we're working. And what every horse needs is different, what one horse needs,
They do have very different personalities, and we have to be attentive to that. So, those are important factors. And just in talking again about the Reading with Horses, I do want to give a shout out to Midtown Station. They have been very hospitable. They've been great hosts this summer, and that whole idea of bringing horses into the community, highlighting literacy, highlighting the horse capital of the world by introducing these little ambassadors to children, to seniors. The Midtown Station has been fantastic to work with, and we hope to do it again next year. It was a lot of fun, very well received. It seemed like every week probably got a little larger and better. And
it was at least a couple hundred people every week.
And we gave out about 1,000 children's books.
Over 1,000 books. Each child was able to take home a book each week, so they would have their own little library by the end of the summer. And we've done this for a number of years, but this was a great location. We had incredible sponsors that really helped make that possible, and amazing volunteers who came out each week, because it really did take a village to, make that whole thing happen with horses and books in the middle of town. So, and even ending it with ice cream cones for all the kids the last day, that was popular.
That was a summer treat. And that was with Midtown Station. They extended that courtesy to the families. Little mini cones for the mini horses, and actually the mini horses did not eat the mini cones. Those are for the children.
Yeah.
And some of the volunteers.
Some of the volunteers as well, But yeah, that was a great time. And again, handling that situation is so much different than dealing with a hospital. What we would do is, read the book, and it was like we had said, we were fortunate that different authors and publishers have written books about our individual horses. So after the story, the actual character from that book would come out and meet the children, and you couldn't have a horse stand there and have a gang of hundreds of people gather around them. I mean, again, not very fair. So what we would do in that circumstance is we had cones, and we had long line of people lined up to meet the horse. And
these were color-coded, like athletic field soccer style cones. These were not ice cream cones.
No. Oh, good point. And so the children would stay behind the cones because it's summertime. It's not on a farm, and their feet are bare, or like sandals, which is something our horses are used to in hospitals because, often there are bare feet. But to keep all those little bare toes back, and then have the horse, who was the character from the book, walk the line so that children could reach out, and, each one who wanted to would be able to touch the horse from the story. But doing that where the horse is moving down the line and has some control, but also, and I could hear you saying it, we tell the children, you're going to pet their neck, you're going to pet the side, and you're not going to grab their faces. And I heard you this last week going, no face, a few times, because I think that's the instinct. People immediately want to grab the nose of a horse. And you can imagine, first of all, these are little horses. And, even on the small side of miniature horses, Magic did this past week, and she's 27 inches at the shoulder. But if your dog at home had, 200 people come up and grab their face over and over and over and over again, how happy are they going to be to see company come to your house? They're not going to. So.
Well, animals are very sensitive of the face. I mean, imagine you as a human being, and people come up and they want to reach for your nose
face
and your face and between your eyes, and we're very protective of our eyes because obviously we want to keep our vision. You need to know where your vision is so important, your sensory perception. Animals are the same way. I mean, a horse's vision is paramount to its safety, and so it's very protective of its face, its eyes. A poke in the eye is a big deal for a horse. It's very detrimental, and a child may not do that, obviously not maliciously or with ill intent, but they just need to learn the sensitivity of the horses, and being respectful of animals. I think it's the same, like you said, with dogs, but they are different, and it's a good opportunity to teach a little bit.
Yeah. But they each got to touch the horse.
Sure, and the mane, they always love touching the beautiful mane.
It smells like flowers.
Well, we go to extra lengths. These are little ambassadors. It's the first time they've interacted oftentimes with children. So they get a spa treatment. They get a bath that morning. They get combed out. They're clipped, and they really are.
Feet are polished.
Their hooves are polished and cleaned, and we want it to be a great experience. And I love the mane and tail of the horses, but especially the mane. And that's a great place for a horse to be, scratched and petted is around the mane area.
On their neck and, on their back. And to make sure that children aren't grabbing at the tail when the horse is walking by, we do have, a team of people that are keeping an eye on everyone to make sure that the horse stays safe and that the children are safe. And, but again, that's just a different kind of situation, and you just need to adapt of what works for the horse and for the children involved in any kind of situation. And again, the idea of each week we had a different horse and a different book. I wouldn't necessarily put the same horse in that environment week after week after week. So, I'm thankful that we have different books that we can use, because it's a lot, that's a lot for a little horse. Again, lots of sounds, lots of noise. It's summertime with hundreds of kids, so it's up to us.
Yeah, and getting back to the personalities, Magic is funny in that she really enjoys being around infants, and that's when she gets drawn in. Sometimes we'll see little strollers with infants, and they're looking at this horse trying to figure out what the heck is this, and it's funny. Magic seems to lean in and likes to just see,
she's always like babies for some reason.
And then Circus, we did the book Spots, and he was painted with the watercolor paints, and he's very, very patient, and he seems to like that interaction.
That wasn't at this program.
No,
that was at a different reading program with less children.
Part of our summer programs, but it was a different program.
So, we make sure that because there are so many people, and we want every child to be able to touch the horse who wants to touch the horse, and we make it clear too that you don't have to. You can just wave when the horse walks by, and sometimes there's a little fear, even though they're less daunting than a big horse.
Yeah, and they're just trying to figure it out. What kind of animal is this?
99% of them will reach out and want to pet the horse. I mean, it's really a rare.
Yeah, and sometimes children will watch other children interact with the horses, and then their courage builds up, and they decide, I can do this. I can handle this.
Yeah. So, I think with all of the horses, our big baby takeaway from today is they need to live a natural life. They're herd animals, and we need to keep that in mind, and we need to give them the best lives that we possibly can and not push them to do more. They would do more, but they shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
And really try to they give so much to so many people that it's up to us to make sure that we are looking out for them and taking care of them and making sure that they can get out. And as far as how small a place can you keep a miniature horse, when you see them running across acres, going as fast as they can go, it does make you rethink what their needs are. And when you see the dogs with them to make sure that there's always somebody keeping an eye on them and taking them safe, it really does change the way you think about that this is not, a little horse is the same as a big horse in every way. They
have their horse behavior on the farm where they do have, you've heard the term horse play. They like to play with each other. They like to run and they have this just horse interaction.
They have an order of who's in charge and who's, what order they're in. Magic is little, but she likes to be first. Let's just say she doesn't like a horse to pass her when they're out running. She wants to be number one always. So, it's not really based on size of the miniature horses because there's a range of sizes. But yeah, they make their own life. They have their own system figured out. And when they come back from wherever they're working at, they get escorted back out to the horses with the dogs. And they live a great natural life, and that's what we want for them.
Yeah. Well, we have had a busy summer, and we're only in July. Lots of activities that are coming up. You had mentioned a few, and are there any other upcoming events that you wanted to talk about? And mainly, I think talking about our relationship with Equus Television Network. Some of these things, this is an audio podcast, but we've done some on the scenes. Equus Television Network did an on the scene with Gentle Carousel of one of our reading programs. So there are some great visuals with Equus Television Network, and I truly hope you can come on and see some of their other programming. They've been fantastic friends to Gentle Carousel Miniature Therapy Horses in hosting this podcast. I'm not sure where you might be listening because Equus Television Network does reach out to many platforms of of podcasts.
But they are 100% free.
Yes.
So if you go to Equus Television and get the app, you don't have to put in any information. It's family-friendly programming. You don't have to give them any information at all to get the app. And millions of people listen to them all over the world. Mm-hmm. So, we just encourage you to get the app and check out all of the different programming.
There is some fantastic programming, and if you're horse crazy and you just want more, you got to have more horse. Yeah. Equus Television Network is for you, and it's a free program platform. And if you're learning about horses, you want to learn more, say you're young or you're just getting involved with horses, this is another place to get educated. We have experts from all over the world that have shows and programming and
or are interviewed by other shows and things.
And different events that are happening throughout the world, horse events. So it is a fantastic place to learn more.
Yeah. And I also wanted to mention, shamelessly here, that if you're wondering how you can help our charity, we have a wish list that you can get to from our website, gentlecarouseltherapyhorses.com. And we could really use dog food right now. Yeah. Canned dog food and the dry dog food that's on the list. We also have Gentle Carousel's Black and White Gala coming up October 10th.
That's a Saturday evening, right?
Yeah, that's going to be an amazing event that we're going to talk to you about more. We've got some great country singers coming down from Nashville that we met while the horses were up working at Vanderbilt Children's Hospital and other places in Nashville. But in our almost 30 years, which is soon to be 30 years, we have never charged for a single therapy horse visit. We fundraise other ways. This gala is going to be very important to us for the work that we're going to be doing after that. And we always get somebody else sent in a message and said, I want to do what you do. How much money can I expect to make the first year? And we just laughed, because it really is, how much money can you expect to spend the first year and the second year and the third year? But we have never charged for a therapy horse visit at all. That's just not the way that we do things. But we really do appreciate those who are wanting to be a sponsor for the Black and White Gala. If you want to call us, all of our contact information is on the website. If you want to call and get more information about being a sponsor, it's going to be a great event. I know Magic is going to be there in her tuxedo.
Celebrating her 20th birthday.
Celebrating her 20th birthday at the gala. But, the wish list is a great way to be able to also help. And, if you place an order on the wish list, it's delivered directly here. You don't have to worry about sending canned food, which can weigh a lot for the dogs, and all dog food weighs a lot for the dogs, and they definitely go through it. So that would be a great way to help out as well.
Absolutely. Well, this has been a great episode, and I think we've covered a lot, and we look forward to hearing from you about your questions, what you'd like to hear next. But again, this has been a fantastic summer, and we'd like to say goodbye, and we look forward to hearing from you for next week.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone.
Take care. Be safe.
If you enjoyed the Gentle Carousel podcast, remember to follow the little horses on social media and join the Gentle Carousel newsletter mailing list. If you'd like to learn more about supporting the important work of Gentle Carousel miniature therapy horses, or if you have a question that you'd like answered on a future episode, all contact information is on the charity website, gentlecarouseltherapyhorses.com. Join behind the scenes at Gentle Carousel Miniature Therapy Horses each week for a new episode right here on the Equus Radio Network.